It's the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and here are my predictions for this week. But first, how did I do last week? In the wild card round, I went 3-3 in my game predictions, but I went 2-4 in the over-unders and in the spreads. So kicking off the week on Saturday, we have the 10-7 Texans versus the 15-2 Chiefs. The Texans are coming off a 32-12 win against the Chargers. In that game, CJ Stroud went 22 of 33 with 282 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Then Joe Mixon had 106 yards rushing and a touchdown, and Nico Collins had 7 receptions for 122 yards and a touchdown. Then on defense, the Texans had 4 sacks and 4 interceptions. And for the Chargers in that game, Ladd McConkey had 9 receptions for 197 yards and a touchdown. So this offseason, the Chargers really need to get Justin Herbert some more help at the receiver position. But for the Chiefs, they're coming off their first round bye, and they sat their starters in week 18. So they should all be fresh and healthy. But Chris Jones is still listed as questionable with a calf injury, but is still participating in practice, so he should play on Saturday. These teams played back in week 16, and the Chiefs won that game 27-19. And for this game, the Chiefs are 8-point favorites, and the over-under for the game is 41.5. Both of these teams have a very good defense, and their offenses both can be hit or miss. Even with both of these teams having a very good defense, I still think there's going to be a lot of points scored, so I'm taking the over on the 41.5 points, and I think the Chiefs will win and cover the 8-point spread. Then we have the 12-5 Commanders versus the 15-2 Lions. The Commanders are coming off a 23-20 win against the Buccaneers. In that game, Jaden Daniels went 24 of 35 with 268 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he led the team with 36 yards rushing. Then Terry McLaurin had 7 receptions, 89 yards and a touchdown, and De'Ami Brown also had 89 yards and a touchdown. And the Lions are coming off their first round bye, and David Montgomery is expected to come back this week and be available for the game. For this game, the Lions are 9.5 point favorites, and the over-under is 55.5. In the regular season, the Lions had 8 games that went over 55 points, and the Commanders had 6 games that went over that. But in the regular season, the Lions averaged 33 points per game, which was most in the NFL, and the Commanders were 5th in points per game at 28.5. So this should be a very high-scoring game, and I think it's going to be much closer than that 9.5 point spread. So I'm taking the Commanders plus 9.5, and I'm taking the over on the 55.5 points, but I still think the Lions are going to win. Then moving over to Sunday, the 10-7 Rams versus the 14-3 Eagles. The Rams are coming off a 27-9 win against the Vikings, and in that game, Matt Stafford went 19 of 27 with 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyren Williams had 76 yards rushing, and Tyler Higbee led them with 5 receptions for 58 yards. But their defense dominated this game, having 9 sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery return for a touchdown. Then for the Eagles, they're coming off a 22-10 win against the Packers, and Jalen Hurts went 13 of 21 with 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then Saquon Barkley had 119 yards rushing. Then Devontae Smith led them with 4 receptions and 55 yards. Then on their defense, they had 2 sacks, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. Last week, both of these teams showed they can play elite defense, but they both can also have a very high-powered offense. These teams played back in week 12, and the Eagles won that game 37-20, and that was the game where Saquon Barkley had 255 yards rushing. So a major point of this game will be, are the Rams able to stop Saquon Barkley? Entering the game, the Eagles are 6-point favorites, and the over-under is 43.5. But the Eagles will also be without Nakobe Dean since he tore his patellar tendon. But I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I have it going over the 43.5, and I have the Rams winning. Then we have the 12-5 Ravens versus the 13-4 Bills. The Ravens are coming off a 28-14 win against the Steelers, and in that game, Lamar Jackson went 16 of 21 with 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also having 81 yards rushing. Then Derrick Henry had 186 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. In total for the team, they had 299 yards rushing. Then Isaiah Likely led them with 3 receptions and 53 yards receiving. And on defense, the Ravens had 4 sacks. Then for the Bills, they're coming off a 31-7 win against the Broncos. And in that game, Josh Allen went 20 of 26 with 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then James Cook had 120 yards rushing and a touchdown, and Curtis Samuel had 3 receptions, 68 yards and a touchdown. But entering the week, Zay Flowers is questionable for the Ravens, and Ray Davis is questionable for the Bills with a concussion. But these teams played back in week 4, where the Ravens won 35-10, and in this game, the Ravens are 1-point favorites, and the over-under is 51.5. Each of these teams have very high-powered offenses, so I'm taking the over on the 51.5 points, and I had the Bills winning. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments who you think's gonna win, and let me know what type of videos you'd like me to make in the offseason. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.